For those who don't know, I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I mean, it's not funny. I'm not lying about this. I'm a huge Resident Evil fan. I have all the Resident Evil games, not including the original Resident Evil, not the non-director's cut one. I have Resident Evil 2, 3. I even have those two for GameCube. Yeah, GameCube, and I also have the remakes as well, including Resident Evil 1 remake for the PlayStation as well, including Resident Evil 0 for the GameCube and the PlayStation 4. I have most of all, if not all, the Resident Evil games. I actually have different versions of 4, GameCube, PlayStation 2, and the PlayStation 4 one. I even have Resident Evil 5 and 6, and even 7. Yes, even 7, the one I really don't like. I actually got that for my birthday, so I was like, alright, that... At least I didn't put money towards that, so yeah, I feel satisfied. I even got Revelations for the for the Xbox 360. I've also got Outbreak 2. You know, I've basically got all the Resident Evil games. And I also got basically all the Resident Evil... Well, I have one Resident Evil movie, and it's not the Paul W.S. Anderson movie, which honestly, I actually don't mind the first Resident Evil movie, like the live-action one. It was a good first attempt, but it could have been better. So, with that being said, though, on the movies... I have to admit, though, the live-action stuff, the films of the Resident Evil movies have not been very much, well, mainstream accepted. Well, in the sense that some of them are good, some of them are bad. I have not seen the other ones yet, besides Degenerative, I think it is. But the ones with Leon, where he's fighting the Tyrant, and the one with with Chris. But Netflix is coming out, and they're coming out with a new series with Capcom called Resident Evil Infinity. And I don't know if that rumor of a Resident Evil series on Netflix, where it involves the Wesker daughters and stuff like that. I hope that was just like a false rumor, and they were like misleading people, because that one, like Resident Evil Infinity and Infinite Darkness, is something I'm kind of looking forward to, and I'm like, okay, if this is going to be a good series, I'm down for it. I'm down for a Resident Evil series. I mean, they already did try to do a live-action one, which, honestly, I wish they would have went with, but they didn't. But, you know, Resident Evil needs to be respected in that sense, because it's a B-horror movie with A-grade material, and nobody has done any justice to it. And I know the whole curse of it's a video game movie, they're never going to do it right, I think is absolute bullshit, because you can make a video game movie good, you just have to be a fan of it. You have to tell the story proper you have to tell it like it is. Like, Resident Evil movie is a B-horror movie, but you need to give it A-grade material. I mean, like, for example, the Lickers and... Oh, excuse me, not the Lickers. I'm going to use Resident Evil 1. Look at every monster. They have some kind of inspiration from B-horror movies. I mean, you have giant tarantulas, you know... giant snakes, plant monster, and minus the zombie and zombie dogs, you also have the hunters that look like, you know, the creature from the Black Lagoon. So it's like, yeah, you could do this movie properly. You can make it a haunted, like, if you take a look at the movie Alien, you can make a movie like it, you know, close enclosed area with monsters and zombies and, you know, tyrants, oh my, you can do that. But, you know, despite this, they've also made, well, luckily for us, they're actually rebooting the Resident Evil franchise. And I've actually heard about this a long time ago, and I was kind of curious who they were going to get for, you know, any of the cast members and stuff like that. So, upon looking at the cast, I'm kind of not really excited now because of this. Only like one person on this is kind of making me happy about this, and I'll show you the list of it, and I'll show you the people that are on there. So it's I'm not too excited about this in the sense, because it's just like, again, I feel like they're just doing this for the sake of diversity points and all the other things too. So here's the cast of it, and it's Robbie Amiel, I think it is Robbie Amiel as Chris Redfield, and I have to admit he's actually the closest we can get to a Chris Redfield. If you gave him the crew cut haircut and make him a little bit more buff, a little not like more athletic, because let's be honest, Chris in the original game was athletic looking. He wasn't like the muscle bound Hercules that he was in Resident Evil 5 and later games. No. And then we have Hannah Jo Kamen as Jill Valentine, which honestly, this is where I'm gonna shoot myself in the foot, and this is where I'm gonna say shit, because I'm not too excited about this choice, and I know people out there are gonna scream at me and go, "Well, you don't like diversity and stuff like that." I mean, Score PN actually made a point about this, and I understand why he's pissed off, but I'm really not that happy with this. I mean, Hannah John Carmen, for those who don't know, was in Ant-Man and the Wasp as the Ghost, and honestly, and also she was in the Game of Thrones series as Ornelia. I never watched Game of Thrones, so I apologize. And she was she was in a lot of things. She was in Ghost in the she was that. Okay, so also I forgot to mention about Robbie Amiel. So Robbie Amiel was in the he's a Canadian American actor. So who gives a? That's good. That's good to know. He was Firestorm in the Flash TV series. He was also trying to find what other things he was in. He was in the Babysitter's Club when we first met, the Tomorrow People, the Duff, Code 8. I'm looking at other films he was in. He was also in Scooby-Doo, The Mystery Begins, and he was in, he was in a lot of crap. So, you know what? I'm not upset about this, because I'll explain to you why I'm not super upset about this and my choice for this, but it goes a little worse. So, Hannah John Kamen, I'm not too excited to play as Jill Valentine. And that's not because of her, I'm going to point it out. It is because of her ethnicity, but also, granted, I could be completely wrong about this and be like, okay, maybe the fact that she might be, good in the role and she might be actually kicking ass and taking names. But honestly, the truth is, Jill is an American, she's a descendant of American and Japanese, so it kind of bugs me that they're going to do the, Netflix adaptation nonsense, if you know what I'm talking about that. We need to get those diversity points, ladies and gentlemen. Who cares? It's like, we're living in 2020, and I'm really not afraid of getting canceled. If you want to come cancel me, come get me. I don't care. I'm not going to stop for you. And then we got Tom Hopper as Albert Wesker. And honestly, looking at the dude, I'm taking a look at another thing. I'm trying to see what he was also in. He was in Game of Thrones. He was in Black Sails. He was in, ironically enough, The Umbrella Academy. He was in Terminator Dark Fate. I Feel Pretty, Black Sails. Okay, so, all right. As ironic as it is, he's going to be in a Resident Evil movie, and he was actually from a TV series called The Umbrella Academy, which I'm just like, all right, cool. And he's a British actor as well, so all right, he can play Albert Wesker. I can see it, but and this is where we're gonna get a little bit, this is where we're gonna get into the problems where people are gonna hate me. But then we have Avon Jogana. I don't really know his name, but he's... Alright, hold on. This is where I think I'm going to get fucking shit canned, because I already sounded like I'm not, what, you're not for progression, and, it's like, no, I'd rather not do the SJW diversity points casting. It's like, look, we already have, and if people scream at me about this, about how, what, you want to... what's the matter? You don't like diversity in movies? A black woman can't play Jill Valentine? Well, first of all, I don't think she's not... She's mocha, okay? Calm down. Second of all, no. It's not about black people playing certain roles. It's like, no, it's this kind of pandering towards that. It's like, what, you can't make your own character that is black that can fit into the Resident Evil universe? I mean, there's Sheva, which I know she comes later in 5 and all that stuff, but you can create characters to, like, fit into that. I really don't get why they need to, I'm still trying to, it's, my computer froze, so I'm just gonna try my best to look this up on my own. So, but again, it goes, like, I'm not trying to sound super, like, as racist as humanly possible. I just don't want this to be fucked up, because it's like, and I don't want, like, and here's the thing, I don't want movies to be fucked up as well. I really don't want I don't want people fucking up movies, you know what I mean? It's like, so let me see the Resident Evil cast here, so give me a second. But again, though, it's one of those things that just bugs the crap out of me. Evil movie. Reboot, okay. Reboot, okay, so the cast of this. So we got Evan Jogia, who, again, somebody whose ethnicity I really don't know of, and honestly, I'm not trying to sound racist when I say that, but the problem with him playing Leon S. Kennedy, and this guy, I'm now going into the Resident Evil 2. I don't see it, because Leon is a white boy. He's a white boy through and through, and it's like, you're getting this guy to play him, and I'm like looking at him, and I'm like, I don't see it unless you give him blonde hair. I still don't see it. Then again, maybe I could be wrong about this, but I'm not too excited about this, and I am cautious about this, because it's like, well, again, okay, my computer's working. So he's in the movie. So his works consist of Now Apocalypse, Victorious. I don't know that one. The Artist's Wife, Twisted, Zombieland 2. So yeah, he's had his work with zombie stuff. Tut, Ghost Wars, The New Romantic, The Outcast, Paper Year, so on and so forth. I'm trying to see what other things. Gym Teacher he was in with Christopher Malone. Yeah, he's been in a lot of Nickelodeon stuff and stuff like that. So it's like, all right, fine, whatever. Granted, I'm hoping he does, like, again, you know, again, I know I'm sounding ridiculous. Like, again, I could be wrong about this, and I'm not trying to put him down, and I'm not trying to sound like a racist, but it's like, I feel like this is for diversity points only. You know what I mean? I feel like they're doing it for that. I'm just, like, as a gamer, I'm just getting tired of just that simple thing. And honestly, get a white guy to do it. Just get a white guy. It's like, I know I'm gonna get shit canned for it, but you know what? If they do well, they do well. Then I'm wrong, and I'll take it back, and I'll just take back what I said. But then again, I want to keep going on further with this, and then we have Kaya Scodilio. I can't pronounce her name to save my life, but it's Kaya Scodilio. All right. Another English actress who was also in Crawl. Okay, you know what? They're picking people who've been in like things that are close to Resident Evil stuff. Apparently, I mean, the last couple of people I talked about, they were in like someone like Umbrella Academy and stuff like that, and you know, like zombie stuff and like very action-packed stuff. And I'm again looking at this, and I'm like, oh, she was in Tomb Raider. Okay, who is she playing Tomb Raider? Who was she in Tomb Raider? Was she in Tomb Raider? Was she Lara Croft? I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. So, all right, who am I talking about? Okay, so Kaya Scodia, the woman who was in Crawl. She was also in Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales. She was also in Death Cure, Skins. She was in the series Skins, apparently. The Maze Runner, you know, series, Moon. She was also in Shank. I'm trying to think what other things she's been in too. So it's ironic that she's in a movie called Crawl where it has crocodiles in it. And it's considered sci-fi? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm looking up on Bing. It's funny because I'm looking at this. She's going to be playing Claire Redfield in a Resident Evil 2 adaptation movie, and they've had crocodiles in that game, a big one in the original game. So, oh my, they're just choosing people who've played it close enough to the nose a little bit. But then again, I had to say it because Scorpion talked about this in his one video about the Resident Evil series, and he kind of mentioned the movies in a brief segment, and he's not going to talk about it, but I will, so, because why not? Somebody has to play the devil, and you're advocate. And then, this is the weirdest casting ever, and I hope they replace him. I hope he plays a different character altogether, because, and I'm going to say this name, Neil McDonough, Neil McDonough, who's played in several movies. If you've seen the recent Sonic the Hedgehog movie, he plays the colonel that Jim Carrey makes fun of and stuff like that. He's the villain in Walking Tall. He was the baller hat dude in the Avengers the first Captain America movie, the first Avenger. He was, I forget his name in that, but I'm trying to think what else he was in. He's in Yellowstone, Reds 2, Band of Brothers, Justified. Let's see what else he's been in. He's been in Angels in the Outfield, Tin Man, DC's Legends of Tomorrow, Timeline, Minority Report, Arrow. He's been in other things too, so yeah. And again, he's going to be playing Albert Wesker, and if you've ever seen and played Resident Evil, Albert Wesker is kind of a different looking guy than, say, Neil McDonough. Because Neil McDonough is a 54-year-old man, but if you looked at, if you looked at William Birkin, he looks like a guy in his late 20s, early 30s, and late 20s, early 30s, late 20s, early 30s, and he's, I think he's miscast in that, because I think he could have played, if they're going to do, if these movies are successful, and again, I don't think the casting is going to ruin anything. If these are going to be good, then they're good, and I hope they're good at all. And again, I'm not trying to... William Birkin. I'm hoping I spelled Birkin. Oh, it's B-I. Okay. Maybe later. Okay, he was in Doctor... Okay, so his birth date is 1996. Give me a second. But now this has got me curious. But I think he could have played Nikolai better. For those who don't know who Nikolai is, he's the old... for those who are recently playing Resident Evil, the remake, and for the Resident Evil fans, I think he could play a good Nikolai. He has that kind of, sinister look about him. That kind of, he can be as menacing, but also kind of, smarky about it. So... Alright, so give me a second to... check this. Again, this is how big of a Resident Evil fan I am. So, minus 1998. He was 36, and the guy they're getting to play William Birkin is 54. And I'm like, couldn't you just make him play make him play I forgot the name again. Can you just make him play Nikolai? I wouldn't mind that. I would not mind that whatsoever. And again, I'm not trying to sound like... I'm not trying to put these actors down and just say they're terrible. They've been in a lot of stuff that is kind of close to a Resident Evil movie at times. I mean, for example, Scodelaria was in the movie Crawl, and that was a movie with crocodiles, and there's crocodiles in Resident Evil, giant ones, so it's like, oh shit, not another one. So I'm looking at this cast, and I'm like, okay, this is fine, but I have some requests for the other cast, the side characters, like Rebecca Chambers and Billy Cohen, and, well, if they're gonna do a Zero movie, I would be okay with it, but, if they're gonna do the first game and the second game, I've got some choices for Barry, Burton, and the rest. Especially for Barry, because Barry's a special character to all the Resident Evil fans, and he's the fan favorite amongst everybody. I mean, the dude, he comes onto the scene with a loaded 44 Magnum, and he's ready for he's loaded for bear, and he's kicking ass and taking names, and he's the master of nicknames. You could have become a Jill sandwich, Take this. It's great against living things. What do you got? I have this. It's just so. Oh my God! God dang! I love Barry Burton. Everybody loves Barry Burton, and you know what's something? He needs more respect than he's given. He needs more. He is a fan favorite amongst everybody. And if you look at his model from the original games, like Jeff Daniels could play him, and I could see Jeff Daniels playing him, or Bruce Campbell from Evil Dead. I can see Bruce Campbell if you dyed his hair to a natural brown. I would not mind it. I could see Bruce Campbell playing that role. I could see that, especially with the nicknaming and stuff like that. And again, he needs that, the untitled Resident Evil reboot. Just call it Resident Evil. Or, if you want to separate from the first movie, call it The Resident Evil. Or Resident Evil, the Spencer Mansion. And then call the second one Resident Evil 2. Just call it Resident Evil 2, because they didn't really give it a sequel title. But then again, I'm looking at this cast, and I'm kind of looking at myself. I'm like, Robbie Amell could play a good Chris Redfield. I can see that. Tom Hopper may be a good Albert Wesker, but I'd rather see the guy who played Homelander in The Boys do it. Because I can see that kind of smarminess, but that seriousness kind of come through a little bit with his acting. That kind of cold, calculating Albert Wesker type. I can see it, but I don't know. I want them to be faithful, but again, it sounds like I'm as I said before, it sounds like I'm being kind of a nitpicky guy and sounding like I'm being a bigot when I say this, but I'm not. I really am not. Because honestly, and again, with even Avan Jogea, I cannot pronounce his name, and even Hannah Jo Kemen, they can prove me wrong and be like, it doesn't matter about the skin color, it matters about their performance, and I'm all for that. But then again, I'm kind of sick of the whole race swapping thing nowadays because we need those SJW points. I'm just tired of that. And I know people out there, oh, what, you were okay with Nick Fury being played by Samuel L. Jackson? Well, that's because Samuel L. Jackson was played by there's a version of Nick Fury as a black man, and they took the model of Samuel L. Jackson to do that, and Samuel L. Jackson plays him in that movie because that's what they did. But it's this kind of race swapping I don't like, because it's it's a pandering kind of operation. That's what I'm kind of getting at. It's the same thing with maybe we should replace Superman with a black guy, or we need a black, this James Bond. Even Idris Elba was I'm not playing James Bond because people are expecting that of me, and it's just to please something. And again, it's that whole mentality of that. So tell me what you think. Do you think, again, if their performances are good, then okay, I'll accept it. But then again, I'm going to drop this again. Leon is a typical white boy. Just have a white guy play him. I'm sorry. In fact, if you really want to have these cast members here, Hannah John Carmen can play and easily play a Jill Valentine, not Jill Valentine. She can play as Sheva pretty damn well, and Avan Jogea can play, and I can see this too, play a good Carlos Oliver. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong about this, but tell me what you think. Do you think the casting of this is half decent, or do you think this is completely stupid, or do you think I'm wrong? Thinking that I'm being a whiny little bitchy fan that wants the way it wants. Tell me what you think, because I rather know, because I'm not really that worried about this, because it's all right, I'll just stick with the CGI movies and that'll be the end of that. Because again, Hollywood is kind of in a dumpster fire right now, so I'm not expecting good things. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care. Love you. Bye-bye. And please leave a like, comment, and maybe if you could, subscribe to my channel. I'll try to make better content, and I am too. And that Resident Evil 4 remake, that Resident Evil 7 review will be coming out soon, hopefully by the end of this month, because it is the season of the witch. It is the most wonderful time of the year. It is Halloween. So I'll take care. Love you. Bye-bye. Peace.